What's going on, Mutha Truckers, and welcome to Mutha Trucker News. Email us at muthatruckernews@gmail.com. You know, we talked about how drivers were letting us know about this letter that hundreds of drivers from Yrs Express received that basically said that they were shutting down August 16th and blamed it on the economy. Well, I've had drivers send me this internal link of a video where their fleet manager is actually stating a little bit of something else, and it was actually on-time delivery and services. So they're stating that they lost a lot of contracts because a lot of their drivers couldn't get there on time, and because of that, they lost their contracts, and it forced them to start booking loads on the load board. And, you know, is there big truth to this? Yrs Express drivers, tell me, you know, was this the issue?
I apologize for coming at you pretty harsh here, but simply said, if we don't do it and we lose any more customers, you know, our amount of freight that we're having to pick up for brokers that you all are frustrated about, that you all say I don't want to do macro point, is 1,000% associated with the fact that the freight that we're losing has to do with on-time service and drivers blowing hours, drivers taking too long of breaks, you know, trailer breaking down, you know, flat tires, all that stuff falls into it. But like I said, there should be enough time on these loads that if you don't take your 15-hour break and you did blow a tire or get a nail in your drive tire or whatever it takes, whatever happens, that we have time to adjust and get there. So, again, I just need to see the immediate turnaround. Certain drivers are not going to be on certain loads. I got a list of 5 guys that will never haul a JBS load as long as I'm here. And it's unfortunate because they live in those areas. But if they can't deliver it on time, you know, 2 choices. They either need to go or they're not going to haul the freight that they like to, just for the simple fact that I can't risk it anymore. If I get JBS back, they can't be on them. So understand, and I think that's about all I have for this moment. Thanks. Bye. Good morning, Yrs Express, and I want to take a few moments here to go over a couple things with you all. I find video is probably the best way to do it. Sometimes when I send out fleet messages, they're not quite as descriptive or personal, so I just think that these videos sometimes help a little bit. So appreciate you taking the time to watch it. Biggest concern right now I have at Yrs Express is our service. We really need to get our hands around what we're doing for on-time delivery. There's a lot of factors that lead into on-time service, and many of them are outside of the driver's hands. There is some that are inside the driver's hands, but what it's doing to the company overall right now, it's causing us to lose ground with our current customer base. The exciting news is we have brought on about 5 or 6, you know, major customers, you know, doing little volume with them now at the hopes to grow if our service is good. We have a lot of eyes on those loads. We try to put, you know, the right people on those loads. Sometimes they have extra time on them, but we try to do that so we can try to make sure that our service is going to get us in the door for more freight. That's something that we are focused on this year, but as we're looking at bringing on new customers, what we're also seeing is the decrease of the current customers we have. Specifically, we have lost business at Hy-Vee. JBS is a large one out of Worthington. We went from about 18 loads a week to 2, and that is 100% because of service. We've lost some Reinhardt business because of drivers not setting temperatures correct on the loads and not securing loads and that kind of stuff. So cargo claims and service and reaction is really something right now that's eroding the company, to the point where I've got to start taking a drastic effect. You know, it used to be back in the day, if you were a company guy, I'd take away your safety bonus and your miles production bonus if you was late for the month. If you were a contractor, you know, if we got dinged, you got dinged, you know, $250 or whatever it was, you know, from that customer for being late, and we've done that. At this point, I just got to go strictly to termination. This is the final and last warning. If you have a load, you're a professional truck driver, you're required to actually be there on time. So that means understand what your appointment time is. Make sure that you're waking up on time, knocking on the door, and checking in on time. If you're going to a Walmart, you have to check in an hour before time, because by the time you get into the dock and unhook your trailer and walk into the office and that bill's stamped, you are not checked in until that bill is stamped. And if you decide to show up at 2:15 in the morning for a 2:20 appointment, you're going to be late. It's bottom line, and that's going to be a late on you, and that's going to have to lead us to a more drastic scenario. I don't care if you're 17 minutes late or if you're an hour late or if you're a day late. Late is late. We only have one thing to offer right now, and that is service, and that is horrible. There are going to be things that happen to your truck or your trailer along the way. Those are not excuses. Those are things that you need to make sure that you are picking up your load on time, you're ahead of schedule on your load, and you are allowing for anything such as traffic or blown tire or a mud flap repair or any of those things. You have enough wiggle time in these loads to make sure that stuff gets done and you're still secure on-time delivery. We are competing for the same freight as everybody else in the country. And if we don't perform, we're not going to get it. It's just that simple. JBS has shown you that. I've got drivers that come up to me and ask me, well, why isn't there any more Northwest loads? Two of them had to look right in the face and say, because you were late on your load to Costco for JBS, and they pulled the freight from us because you did not read your hours correctly, and you left before your break was up. Or another driver drove all the way across the country, had a 2:45 in the morning appointment, got there at 10 o'clock at night the night before, but didn't wake up at 2:45. It doesn't matter how good he did driving there. If you can't wake up and go check in, the load is late. The load gets rescheduled. It goes against our scorecard. That customer gets fined by Costco or by whoever that customer is to the shipper, and the shipper eats those. I talked to ConAgra one time about 3 years ago, and he said, you wouldn't believe the deductions that we get from our customers in the tunes of hundreds of thousands of dollars for trucks being late that we never take back onto the carrier. There's just too many carriers out there right now fighting for the same business. We're trying to go after premium customers with premium pricing, and we're having a hard time keeping what we have. If you can't take a load, you better get on the phone with your driver manager, and you better explain to them that you cannot take that load and what the reason why that is for hours. That doesn't mean that I'm obligated to make sure that you have the next available best paying load that's right there. That just means that the next one that comes through that fits your hours, that's what we're going to do. Some of the loads don't all pay the same, but that's the other issue we're having. We get out to the West Coast, we got to other areas, and we got certain drivers that only take certain loads because of what they pay. That's not how the system works. You're all here to haul the freight that we have booked, and you take the good with the bad. If I have anybody that's cherry picking, I don't need them in my network. I need people that are going to haul the freight that we contract with our customers. I need them to haul it on time, on temperature, and that's it, period. And at the end of the day, we'll win, because then maybe we can start securing better freight, or we can start getting increases on the freight that we have when the market changes. But currently right now, we're on the losing end. When we see a depletion from 13 loads a week from Hy-Vee to 5 loads a week, there's a problem, and that was service related. When we lost across Wisconsin for Reinhardt, one of our biggest paying loads coming out of the West Coast, 3 loads a week, that's a problem. It's a problem because of service. It's a problem because drivers don't put load locks in the trailers. It's a problem because drivers say, I can't be on the dock. Other carriers are doing it. Other carriers are getting it there, and some cases are getting it there cheaper, and they're doing a better job than we are. I don't want to be at the end of the stick here, the one that's not doing a better job. That's not how I run things. I apologize for those that have taken advantage of my good nature and put us in this spot here, but you got to understand, it's time to go if you can't deliver and you can't perform. Same thing with your availability. If you say you're ready on Tuesday, then you better be ready on Tuesday, and I better expect that these planners have a load for you. That's my expectation on both ends. If you call up on Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock, say I need 2 more days, all you're doing at that point is messing up the customer. All you do at that point is making us scramble a little bit more. Now we're going to be late for picking up because we got to put a different driver on loads, and it's just snowballs from there. Could affect 2 more loads down the road. So, again, as a contractor, even company driver, I'm not pushing that hard. If you go home and you say, I'm going to be ready on Tuesday, then you're going to be ready on Tuesday. If you need till Thursday, then say, hey, before you take off, I'm not going to be ready till Thursday. But you can't come out, too many times. It's what loads do you guys have? Okay, well, I don't like those loads, so I'm not going to be ready till Thursday. Pack your bags. I don't need it. Life's too short for me to sit here and try to beg these customers for freight and then have our team get beat up all day long and then not be able to perform. So communicate with the driver manager. Make sure your PTA is correct. This is a business. We have to run it like a business. I expect you to run it like a business. I expect you to understand your hours. I expect you to pick the loads up. I expect you to take your 10-hour breaks. You take 15, 16-hour breaks. My freight don't have that time on it. It just simply doesn't have that time on it. It might not be the spot for you if you need to take 15-hour breaks before, every night when you're parking, 13-hour breaks. There's times that there's just enough time built in these loads, and that's why they pay what they pay. So I apologize for coming at you pretty harsh here, but simply said, if we don't do it and we lose any more customers, our amount of freight that we're having to pick up for brokers that you all are frustrated about, that you all say I don't want to do macro point, is 1,000% associated with the fact that the freight that we're losing has to do with on-time service and drivers blowing hours, drivers taking too long of breaks, trailer breaking down, flat tires, all that stuff falls into it. But like I said, there should be enough time on these loads that if you don't take your 15-hour break and you did blow a tire or get a nail in your drive tire or whatever it takes, whatever happens, that we have time to adjust and get there. So, again, I just need to see the immediate turnaround. Certain drivers are not going to be on certain loads. They got a list of 5 guys that will never haul a JBS load as long as I'm here. And it's unfortunate because they live in those areas. But if they can't deliver it on time, 2 choices. They either need to go or they're not going to haul the freight that they like to, just for the simple fact that I can't risk it anymore. If I get JBS back, they can't be on them. So understand, and I think that's about all I have for this moment. Thanks. Bye.